So since we're on the topic, I remember our van busted in Ogallala, Nebraska, and we're on the side of the road, and I remember the sky churning, like we could pretty much see tornadoes
Zake, dude.
forming.
We had Zake.
My cousin Zake was on the road with us, just like upstate New York, like ripped jeans, just greasy mechanic. I love him. He was like our watchdog.
Rock you like a hurricane.
But I remember being on the side of the road, and what is it? We must have had cell phones, but I remember not knowing. I remember needing to go. No cell phones.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
We had cell phones. Why did me and Thad have to get in the car with that sketchy person?
You guys were going to get help, or to go to the next town, which is Ogallala, to get a tow truck to get us.
Why didn't we fucking just call a tow truck?
Because we didn't know that one was on the way. In the end, one came via Dave Holden's extra AAA package that like included trailer like towing or something like that. So
Gotcha.
we were able to get that. But I remember, you rode with that.
I know her name was Frankie.
Oh wow.
Her Frankie, remember? Frankie.
Yeah.
Thaddeus remembers because Thaddeus bailed me out. So I didn't realize. So apparently this girl came up, and she was like, she would have been totally normal for New York or Boston, but she was definitely like a little out of place for being in the middle of, the Midwest, like just tall, like purple hair, like very like out of character for what you would expect, to see, whatever.
Combat boots and a dress.
Yeah. And she was whatever. It was cool enough. And I remember her coming up to me and like, can I help y'all? And I remember saying, okay, I'm going to go to a convenience store or whatever, and try to send some help back, find a tow truck, whatever. And I remember Thaddeus coming up to me saying, hey Rich, I'll go with you. And I was like, no, it's cool, man. I got it. No problem. And you're like, no, dude, I should come with you, man. I'm going to come with you. And I'm like, okay, whatever, and we get, so that this was in front of the van. And then we get back into the where her car was. And the whole back windshield was just busted out. And it was just full of like clothes that had just been getting rained on. Yeah. Broken glass. And I'm like, oh, okay. It was like too late now,
Yeah.
I remember being in the car, Thaddeus saying, hey, so what do you do when it rains, with this car? And she just goes, it gets wet. I remember just oh, fuck, man. What's going to happen with us?
She's like, what? We needed some like line because like a line had broken. It was I think it was like the transmission fluid or some shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, I bet I can find that. She's like, I know where I can find that. She's like, see that car right there? You boys can take it off that. I'm like, whose car is that? She's like, don't matter none. I'm not just gonna go take it off some random car. It's like, well, that's my old boyfriend's car. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's got anger issues.
He's got anger issues.
Didn't you? I think you bought her some booze, like as a thank you, right? Or she asked you.
Yeah, we did.
Booze.
Yeah,
she was underage or whatever.
I think that's right. Yeah, because yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
That was the trade-off. And then we shacked up for a night in a motel. I think we stayed in like one night in like every motel that was in Ogallala. And we were almost, because like there was that family that's there.
The ice cream.
Right. Kathy or whatever. Like she's,
Christine and Kathy.
Christine and Kathy.
I'm friends with her on Facebook now.
Me too. Shout out.
Yeah,
they own that ice cream place.
And the next time, I think the next summer that we went by there, we stopped by like just to say hi. They let us crash in the place, but I think they were like one step away from letting us stay with them. But they were like it was like a single mom and like her daughter, and it was like 7, 8 dudes. Yeah. And it was like she's like, I'm pretty sure these are all like good kids, but like I can't actually stay.
Understandable.
And like, yeah. And so we all just like
Dubs. There wasn't Dubs. So she was right. Yeah.
But I remember them. I remember them saying, and the reason we were spinning wheels in this town is because Zake thought that he could fix the van. I remember. So the van was outside of Zake was under the van, and he would be like, he enlisted us to just feed him Red Bull. And he's just like, I can fix it, guys. I can fix it. And we just feed him Red Bull and cigarettes for like 3 days. I remember I remember having bottle rockets or some kind of fireworks that we got, once we got south of the Mason-Dixon, and just going up to a field and like lighting off fireworks for like 45 minutes, like getting high and lighting up. You could not do it now.
Zake we did fix the van. I mean, unfortunately, like 3 nights later,
other stuff went down. Yeah.
Like the transmission finally blew and that brings us to what is it? What was that? Where is it in Oregon? Shit. I used to remember the name.
Oh, Durkee.
Durkee. Wow, Josh, you remember?
In the clinch.
Probably talked about it.
I wasn't even there.
No, you weren't. But I think we stopped when we were on tour with you once. We did stop there, and we were like, this is like a historic. And then we got towed to Baker City. That I remember, and that was like the day before my 21st birthday.
Who rode the tow truck? I think I rode in the tow truck.
I rode in the tow truck.
City, man, that's a place right there.
I think I rode in the tow truck. No, half of us stayed back, and then I think Dave Holden drove a U-Haul back to Durkee that had a hitch on it, and you had to put the Jimmy rig the trailer because the ball wasn't the right size, but it
was sketchy.
Wait. Wait, that makes me think of something else. Where was on Warped Tour when we broke down? Where was that?
That was in
Little America.
First it was in that's on the I-80 corridor, which is like another part of town. But it is so we did 2 times we've broken down on that. Not broken down, but we've gotten stuck on I-80. One was on the Bedouin tour when we got in the snowstorm in Laramie. Laramie, Wyoming. And then the summer of Warped Tour, we were just in Wyoming, just outside of Cheyenne, and that's first where it blew on I-80, and then it got fixed, and then we went through the night, and then we woke up again in Little America, Wyoming, and the thing blew again, and then we all got shuttled to Salt Lake City and had to make our way back. I rode on the John Lennon bus that night back to Denver.
Where was
I think I rode a street light that night. Yeah.
The weird dude in our that was riding with us. The guy that sold the cans.
James Jackson.
Yes.
Jackson.
Where was that when he
hold on. This is a whole other tour because I want to go back to when we were stranded that first time, the early years. We could definitely wait for Obi for some of these or at least rehash some of them because
I thought it was the same place, man.
You remember?
No, it wasn't.
Do you remember the attendant at the hotel that we stayed in told us not to answer the door because there was like a crazy prostitution sting operation going on?
That was the cop. That was the police officer.
That was when we broke down.
Cedar Rapids? No.
Yeah.
Idaho.
No, that was Cedar Rapids and all the cedars in Iowa was my first tour.
This is Idaho.
4 dates in Iowa.
This was Idaho, I think.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember. I remember when that was because we got towed and then we got led to a place where there was like a long train. I remember the train was coming through and then we had to turn around because they were like, we're going to be here for 45 minutes because it's one of these it's 80-mile long freighters. And I remember cops were helping. I think that was the night before Ogallala. We were breaking down contiguously.
Oh, I thought that was after Ogallala, after we fixed it and then it broke again.
No,
okay.
The last night that we were in Ogallala, we started making our way and we spent the day in Twin Peaks, Idaho. And that's Twin Falls, Idaho.
Twin Falls.
And that's where and we cooked out. And I remember we met some crazy guy that told us about smuggling weed and condoms back from Amsterdam. And I was just like, you're fucking crazy, dude. Why would you swallow weed?
Not worth it, man.
Crazy. But that was that day. And we were having trouble. Basically, I remember we were the van was overheating. and it was like we basically have to wait till nightfall because the sun was so hot. We were like, okay, we'll wait till the sun goes down and then we'll start traveling again. And we started traveling, and then we woke up and Dubs was like, we've lost, like we have like reverse. That's it.
First scare in reverse, I think. Yeah, and we're in that sketchy little old, like, there was a gas station, and I remember looking out the window, and there's a little shack, and there's nothing for miles, and there's a light on inside the shack. It was like a outhouse size shack. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was just like, and I remember staying the night there and just thinking, like, what the fuck is going on inside that shack? Like, there's no one for miles. Up here, you know?
Yeah. And Obi was like, okay, I put a call in to Chris LaSalle, and we weren't even close to being signed to Hellcat Records at that time. Like, he's like, he had probably met Chris LaSalle at like some like show and like years earlier, somehow gotten his number. He's like,
imagine getting a voice message the next morning.
Hold on. And then he's like, and then I called, and he's like, and I put a call into Bucket. And I think at that time, I hadn't, like, Westbound wasn't, I mean, Obi was close with Buck, but we hadn't gone even on our first tour with the Toasters. And, like, now knowing Bucket, like, I can just, like, think, like, Bucket's face being like, hey, you guys are broke down, pretty funny, like,
I remember having the group conversation the next morning, I think, of like, you know, there some people were like, should we go? Should we like just say home? And I remember having the like very important band conversation of like, hey, are we gonna like let like this derail us, or are we gonna just persist and figure this out? And that was sort of like, I think, a defining moment for the early years of the group when we were just like, no, like we're not here to let little things. Well, not that it was a little thing, but we're not here to like let shit derail us. Like we're here to figure it out. And but I remember that being like pivotal, you know.
Yeah. I think Obi said also that he like put a call into Winston because that was the set that same summer.
Winston.
And we were supposed to get I think that was when we were getting, because we got flown back to Boston. That was that same tour.
Yes, when we were in LA.
So we ended up fixing the transmission. We made it down to LA. We flew back to Boston, played that like Daniel Brown, DNC, whatever the hell it was. 5 of us flew back to LA. Thad and Obi flew to Vegas, got the van, drove it to LA, and then for a while we had 2 vans.
Yep. And we were posted up at that sketchy hotel.
Yep, the Sands. Yeah.
Sands.
Yeah.
Like 8 of us, 8 in one room.
The first night we were at some other sketchy place where the woman was like, "You have too many people. You can't stay in here." And then we went to the Sands, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't care, but like this is the price." And it was like, you know, some stupid amount of money for like a Roach Motel.
Yeah.
But like,
LA.
And then we finally, I think the last day that we were in LA and we were like, had to like start heading back to like East, we sold the van, I think, for like, I want to say we sold it for like maybe like $2,000. Like, you know, in the end, to like some Australian guys that were going to like drive it back. And we were like, listen, it's got a brand new transmission in it, and it probably drove better then than it ever did before. You know?
Right.
It probably got them to where they need. I was like, it'll get you to where you want to go. After that, I wouldn't count on it.
Oh, but I do remember the van used to do this thing, which I'll never forget. The first time it ever happened to me was when I was like using it to like move in to like my apartment, and my dad was with me. And like, you remember, you like, sometimes it wouldn't start and you'd have to slide it into neutral and like start it. And it hadn't done that in weeks. And I was like, oh, hopefully with the new transmission, like it won't do that anymore. And literally like, we like signed the title over. We like gave them the keys, got the money, and like they got in the van and like went to turn it on and like did that. And we were like, oh no, no. You just gotta slide it to neutral. And like, they're like, oh, no worries, bye.
Yeah.
I was in the van. I think
the
van on the last run too, man. When it died, remember we were coming back from something and it died at Johnny's house.
We were on our way to. We were in Jersey, and I had I had just gotten it fixed.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and it was, and then it just blew. And then we did that last tour. We did that tour with that rental van from that company in Jersey, which was I was gonna use when we were supposed to do like our last run after Warped Tour, but then the trailer got stolen. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That was some bad luck upon.
Yeah.
The
trailer
those last couple months, man.
The trailer for about 2 or 3 years after it got stolen, I would periodically get like a random phone call from Karlstadt Police Department and be like, just following up to see if you heard anything. And I'd be like, why are you following up with me?
I should be following up with you.
Yeah, don't you? And then I remember actually telling the story to like slackers and Glenn Pine was like, oh, like maybe you'll go to Africa one day and you'll see like a whole bunch of kids wearing Westbound Train shirts and you'll be like, hey, we got a good thing going on here. What's going on?
Yeah, well, you never know.
I would love to know that those T-shirts went.
Where did that happen?
Right.
I don't remember. Where did it get stolen? I don't remember.
It got stolen in I was keeping it in my dad's warehouse. My dad's warehouse in Karlstadt, and we were just keeping it there. And we were using it. It was there all throughout the summer when we were on Warped Tour. And then we came back from Warped Tour, and I met Brendan there, and we filled up the U-Haul. And it was all the stuff was lit there, and I was just, somebody must have been watching it. And I think I went there one night with you to like drop something off. We were on a gig, and I was just like, I just like didn't think that it would be a big deal. And they didn't even break into it. They just took the whole thing. And then it was like 3 days before we were supposed to leave for a tour, and I went by to go grab something. And I said to my dad's warehouse guy, oh, and I could have kept it in like a back area with like a gate, but I heard that area got flooded. So I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want a chance. But insurance worked out. We got everything back except for the cost of the trailer, and like my bicycle or something like that. I think, Johnny got all of his guitars and his amps. We got paid out for the merchandise, which was good and bad because now we never have CDs to sell. And all the gear. Eric luckily didn't have his like vintage drum kit in there. Thad didn't have any of his stuff in there because it was just really like New York based stuff. So Obi's trombone got stolen, but he got a new one.
Yeah.
No other horns got stolen. So in the end, it was. I always say that if we had gotten like $5,000 more for like the cost of the trailer, could have been the best thing that ever happened to Westbound.